Imagine stepping into a land where the mountains are steeped in mystery, where treasure hunters vanish without a trace and eerie lights flicker in the night sky. This is the Superstition Wilderness in Arizona, a place that has claimed the lives of many, all drawn by the allure of a fabled treasure, the lost Dutchman's gold mine. For over a century, adventurers have ventured into these unforgiving mountains in search of untold riches, only to meet grisly ends. Some say it's the curse of the land. Others whisper of a hidden, supernatural force guarding the mine. From headless bodies to strange figures in the shadows, the story of the Superstition Mountains is more than a legend. It's a chilling tale of death, mystery, and the supernatural. But what is truly responsible for these disappearances and deaths? Are they simply tragic accidents? Or is there something far darker lurking in the heart of these mountains? Stay with me as we delve into the eerie stories surrounding the lost Dutchman's gold mine, where every step could be your last. For over a century, treasure hunters and thrill seekers alike have vanished without a trace, their fates sealed under mysterious circumstances while searching for a legendary stash of gold hidden deep in the mountains of central Arizona. The few bodies that have been recovered, often headless, offer chilling evidence that there is something in these unforgiving mountains, something that claims the lives of those who dare to seek its hidden treasure. April in Arizona was always unbearably hot, but in 1958, the heat was relentless. Temperatures remained above 30 degrees Celsius for 2 weeks straight, as Benjamin Cruz, a deputy sheriff from Pinal County, trudged along the mountain trail. The sun beat down on him with unforgiving intensity, and with no shelter for miles, he prayed silently for rain. His canteen, nearly empty, was the only thing keeping him going. Thankfully, he had a spare. When Cruz had set off from their patrol car on the main highway, his partner, Joe Donaldson, had stayed behind with 2 hikers who had summoned help. From the moment they arrived, Cruz could see the terror in the young men's eyes. They were clearly more interested in tales of hidden gold and ghostly Apache guardians than in real assistance. After forcing them to repeat their directions until he was satisfied, Cruz had made his way up the northern slopes of the mountain, alone. Half an hour later, he found what he was looking for: the remains of a campsite, concealed behind a small outcrop. Cruz paused, pulling a pencil and notepad from his breast pocket. As he walked around the scene, he took note of the details. A discarded gun cleaning kit lay in the sand, its scattered contents forming a wide circle of metallic debris. There were no spent shell casings, which was a small relief, but the absence of the weapon itself was worrisome. The campsite appeared to have been abandoned hastily, with deep scuff marks and divots suggesting a violent struggle. The remnants of an evening meal lay scattered across the site, as though left in a hurry. But what truly caught his attention was a military-style sleeping bag caught on a nearby bush. As Cruz approached, his stomach lurched at the sight of dark bloodstains soaked into the fabric. Bent down to examine the scene further, he retrieved some pieces of correspondence, though all identifying names and addresses had been ripped away. Cruz immediately radioed Donaldson to bring more officers. As he sat down on a nearby rock, sighing with exhaustion, he lit a cigarette. The missing camper, like so many before him, would eventually turn up, probably without a head. That was, after all, the pattern they always followed. The Superstition Wilderness Reserve sprawls across a vast expanse of land east of Phoenix, Arizona, dominated by the towering Superstition Mountain, a 3,000-foot monolith that looms over the region like a sentinel of mystery. The mountain, as its name suggests, has long been shrouded in tales of fear reverence, and the unknown. Long before Western settlers ventured into the area, the indigenous Apache people revered the mountain as the dwelling place of a vengeful thunder god, who they believed lived deep within its labyrinthine caves and tunnels. To appease this powerful deity and prevent him from unleashing destruction, they performed regular sacrifices and acts of worship. But the mountain held more than just spiritual significance. According to the Apaches, hidden within its depths lay a bottomless portal that descended straight into the underworld, a chasm said to lead directly to their version of hell. These eerie legends alone were enough to cast a shadow over the mountain, but it was whispered tales of underground cities of gold that truly drew outsiders to its treacherous peaks and valleys. In the 1540s, Spanish conquistadors arrived in search of riches and were drawn to the gold said to lie hidden within the mountain's core. Their expeditions into the foothills and valleys of the Superstition Mountains brought them into direct conflict with the Apaches, who warned that only death awaited those who dared trespass into the thunder god's domain. Despite these warnings, veins of gold were discovered, fueling the Spanish obsession. Yet their greed came at a steep price. Soldiers sent to mine the gold began turning up dead, decapitated and mutilated, their steel armor and rifles no match for the enigmatic force that guarded the treasure. As their numbers dwindled, the Spaniards were forced to abandon their quest, leaving behind both riches and unanswered questions. Over the centuries, the allure of the mountain's gold proved irresistible. Adventurers and fortune seekers returned time and again, lured by promises of untold wealth. The 1840s saw the establishment of a more permanent mining operation by the influential Peralta family. However, their efforts were violently halted when the Apaches massacred the miners and their workers, delivering a bloody warning to all who sought to exploit their sacred grounds. The mine was eventually abandoned and forgotten, until whispers of its existence resurfaced. In the 1870s, a German prospector named Jacob Waltz rediscovered the elusive gold seam. Unlike others, Waltz kept the mine's location a closely guarded secret, making frequent solitary journeys into the mountains and returning laden with gold. Records indicate that he sold approximately $250,000 worth of the precious metal to the U.S. Mint before succumbing to pneumonia in 1891. Following Waltz's death, the mine's exact whereabouts were lost once again, but not its legend. Over time, the hidden treasure became known, ironically, given Waltz's German heritage, as the lost Dutchman's gold mine. As countless treasure hunters ventured into the Superstition Mountains in search of the lost Dutchman's mine, many never returned. Their disappearances only deepened the enigma, transforming the story from a local folktale into a national obsession. The mountain, with its haunting history of riches and death, remains both a beacon and a warning, a place where fortune and fate are as unpredictable as the desert itself. The first recorded death connected to the lost Dutchman's gold mine occurred in 1896, and it was marked by the strange and unsettling story of Alicia Rivas. A California native, Rivas had made the Superstition Mountains his home, constructing a cabin from which he would begin his quest for gold. Known for his eccentricities, he refused to shave or cut his hair, and would often wander the canyons completely naked, brandishing a pair of revolvers. His peculiar behavior and apparent disregard for conventional society were enough to make even the local Apache tribes keep their distance. However, it was not his eccentricities that ultimately led to his death, but the mysterious fate that awaited him. When Revis's body was found 4 miles from his cabin, his head had been carefully placed on a rock several meters away, looking down at the rest of his remains. The circumstances of his death have never been explained. In 1931, Adolf Ruth, an adventurer determined to find the lost Dutchman's mine, ventured into the Superstition Mountains. Equipped with provisions, he set off alone in search of the treasure. But like many before him, he vanished without a trace. His family hired a search party, and in December of that year, a skull was found, clearly bearing 2 large bullet holes in the forehead. The cause of death was obvious. Yet the mystery deepened when 4 weeks later, the rest of Ruth's remains were discovered several miles from the location of the skull. The body had been decapitated, and while the coroner ruled the death a suicide, citing that Ruth had been unable to continue due to a broken leg, his family found this explanation unsatisfactory. There was no gun found at the scene, and the notion that Ruth could have shot himself twice in the head was to them unfathomable. The circumstances surrounding Ruth's death remain shrouded in mystery, leaving more questions than answers. The eerie and inexplicable deaths continued into the 20th century, with one of the most haunting cases occurring in 1947. Treasure hunter James Akf, obsessed with the myth of the lost Dutchman's mine, hired a helicopter to drop him off in the mountains. He established a base in LaBarge Canyon and set off on foot with 2 weeks' worth of supplies. When the helicopter pilot returned 2 weeks later, he found that all of Akf's provisions were untouched, but there was no sign of the man. A search was launched, and in February of the following year, a group of hikers discovered Akf's remains. His body had been rolled up in a blanket and suspended from a ledge by a rope that had been tightly tied around him. As in other cases, the head was missing, and several of his ribs had been broken. His personal belongings, identification papers, clothing, and money were found nearby, piled together and weighed down by a rock to prevent them from being blown away. Once again, the unsettling mystery of his death left more questions than answers. The most recent death in this series occurred in December of 2009, when 35-year-old Jesse Kappen, a Colorado native, disappeared in the Superstition Mountains. Kappen had become completely obsessed with the lost Dutchman's mine and had made several trips to the area in search of the legendary treasure. Despite a series of previous disappearances, he seemed undeterred, convinced that the gold was within reach. Unfortunately, Kappen too became one of the mountain's many lost souls, vanishing without a trace, his fate remaining uncertain. These deaths, mysterious and often violent, continue to add to the legend of the lost Dutchman's gold mine, a tale of treasure that has claimed the lives of many, yet the treasure itself remains elusive, hidden deep within the unforgiving wilderness. A search by local police into Jesse Kappen's disappearance found his car abandoned along a remote track, with his phone and wallet still inside. It wasn't until 3 years later that his broken and shattered body was recovered from a deep crevasse halfway down a sheer rock face, an area inaccessible from above. No one knows how he ended up there, adding yet another layer to the eerie mysteries surrounding the Superstition Wilderness Reserve. Strange phenomena have also been reported by visitors to the reserve, including sightings of mysterious orbs of light floating across the skies and a tall skeletal figure wandering the plains at night, lantern in hand, as though searching for something. One such tale was shared by a subscriber to Bedtime Stories, Nathaniel Allure, who had an unsettling experience while hiking in the region in 2015. Nathaniel and his friends came across the wreckage of a light aircraft that had crashed in December 2011, killing all 6 passengers. While resting at the crash site, Nathaniel took several photos on his mobile phone. A week later, while showing his mother the images, she gasped upon noticing something disturbing. A male figure, dressed entirely in white, standing approximately 15 meters behind the group. Upon closer inspection, Nathaniel noticed that the figure's skin appeared charred. The strangest part? The figure wasn't there when the photo was taken. Given the site's isolated location with only one access route, there was no way anyone could have passed the group unnoticed. Who or what was it? And how did it end up in the photo? This incident is far from an isolated one. Over the last century, there have been over 100 unsolved murders and unexplained deaths documented in the reserve, the majority of which were treasure hunters searching for the lost Dutchman's gold mine. So, who or what is guarding this legendary treasure so fiercely, ensuring that no one gets too close to its secrets? Apache writings refer to a race known as the Tortums, mysterious underground dwellers who on rare occasions could be glimpsed at the top of mountain ridges, silently watching travelers entering their territory. According to the Apache, few warriors who encountered these creatures survived to tell the tale. The idea of underground guardians is an ancient belief, one that echoes across cultures. This story isn't entirely unique. In Canada's Nahanni National Park, known as the Headless Valley, a similar pattern of bizarre and deadly occurrences has unfolded. The park, once home to the Dean people, saw the disappearance of two brothers, Frank and Willie McLeod, in 1908. Their decapitated bodies were discovered a year later, their heads never found. A decade later, prospector Martin Jorgensen was discovered in his burned-out cabin, again decapitated. The Dean people attributed these deaths to the supernatural, claiming the heads were taken by ghostly warriors known as the Nahar, who were said to wear terrifying masks and behead their enemies. Further adding to the mystery, bodies of frozen campers have been found near campfires that should have kept them alive, and there have been persistent reports of UFO activity in the area. The Apache belief that the Superstition Mountains hide a portal leading straight into hell is not as far-fetched as it may seem. Stories of hellmouths, portals to the underworld, have appeared throughout history and across cultures. One of the most famous examples is a chasm located 50 kilometers north of Prague in the Czech Republic. In the 13th century, winged demons were said to have emerged from the chasm, terrorizing the region. Could it be that the Superstition Mountains hide something just as deadly? And if so, is the treasure truly worth the cost of finding it? The Posca Castle was allegedly constructed in this very spot to seal the portal and prevent further incursions by these mysterious entities. It's easy to dismiss this as a medieval ghost story, but the way in which the castle was built makes it stand out from other fortifications of the era. It was constructed in an isolated area, far from existing roads or supply routes, with its battlements and walls facing inward. No external defenses. Intriguingly, it was also designed without kitchens or sleeping quarters, meaning it could not support a permanent garrison. Some have speculated that the castle was built specifically to keep whatever lurked beneath the mountains at bay. Whether or not these legends hold any truth, the fact that some of the victims were killed with modern firearms suggests a more rational explanation. In 1945, a treasure hunter named Barry Storm claimed to have survived an encounter in the mountains with a mysterious sniper he referred to as Mr. X . Storm said the sniper stalked him for days, taking shots at him until Storm managed to escape. He later wrote a book about his experience where he speculated that this same sniper might have been responsible for the death of Adolf Ruth 15 years earlier. Given the span of time over which these deaths occurred, it seems improbable that one individual could be responsible for all of them. This leads to another theory. Perhaps there is a secretive organization or cult operating in the Superstition Mountains, one that continues to exploit the wealth of the lost Dutchman's mine, willing to go to any extreme to prevent others from finding it. As with many stories, the truth likely lies somewhere between these more fantastical theories and far more mundane explanations. A large percentage of the deaths can likely be attributed to murder-suicide, fatal accidents, or natural causes. The reported decapitation or mutilation of the remains may have more to do with the bodies being exposed to the harsh, desolate environment for an extended period, where animals and weather conditions take their toll. However, even the most logical explanations cannot fully account for the more bizarre fatalities that have been reported. The fact that so many unexplained deaths have occurred both in the Superstition Mountains and Nahanni Valley suggests that there may be something more sinister at work. Hostile forces that dwell within these North American mountain ranges. These areas should be approached with extreme caution, as the risks remain as deadly as ever. Until the truth behind these mysterious deaths is revealed, we can only offer our thoughts to those who have perished in search of the lost Dutchman's mine, and to the families who continue to grieve. May they all rest in peace. Thank you for watching the secret story of mysterious disappearances and deaths in the Superstitious Mountains. Hopefully, these strange things have made you feel unable to take your eyes off the screen and expand your curiosity about unsolved mysteries. If you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other secret stories that I will explore in the following videos. Leave a comment and share your thoughts on what happened in this mountain range. Was it just an accident? Or is there a hidden force? Thank you for spending time with me, and see you in the next videos.